Okay, the topic of today is going to be compound interest, which is a powerful concept in the finance that can significantly impact your savings and investments. It involves earning interest on both initial principal and accumulated interest from previous periods. This means you earn interest on interest, which can help your money grow faster over time. And if you put this like in one of the chat PTs or co-pilots, it'll kind of go through in there. You have your amount of money accumulated over the years. You're going to first start out with your principal. That's the beginning start of amount. Then you have your interest rate. Then the number of times the interest compounds over the years. And time is the time of money invested to borrows. Another concept here is adding also monthly contributions to what you have, and that's where I think a lot of people get kind of mixed up with how much monthly should I be adding to my initial. And here it says initial investment, but that can be also initial principal that you start with for it. Like on this concept here, I have $500 added. So if you start out with $1,000 principal, which is also here initial investment, and if you add $500 a month for a lifetime of 10 years, your estimate interest rate is 4.2%. I didn't do the variance. And if you do that annually, after 10 years, you'll have $74,217.26, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. It is when because when you're doing retirement and you're only starting out with 1,000 plus 500, I mean that's more realistic in today's financial times. But hopefully over time, if you can get your income up, then you can add more to it. Um, and there's several ways you could do it. Some people do this through their 401k plan, which that involves the stock market. It's kind of hard to control your interest rate. It depends on what your 401k is investing in. Another way you can do this is via CDs. This is one reason why CDs are popular. A lot of people refer CDs as certificates of depreciation because of inflation, but it depends on how you do it. I had to do some research on this and just how to go through it. So, for example, let's say I have my minimum. I'm using Navy Fed here. This is a Navy Federal website just to give like an actual, real, actual um, what the APR could be for CDs and how you can use that as compound interest. So let's say, for example, is if I have $1,000, I have an APR rate at 4.75. I can do 3 7 months on this, right? So if I set this up with my $1,000 in, we're in September for so if I do it for September, okay, I get started. Then come at the end of October, I have another $1,000, and you're like, well, I'm already locked into this CD. I can't do another one. I can't add contribution to it. So how does this help with me doing compound interest? What you can do is just open up another CD and put another $1,000 in, and that way you can vary it 3 to 7 months as well. So you can, if you're trying to get them caught up to where they both mature at the same time. And what maturing CD means when it comes to the end of the CD, like 3 months, once 3 months or seven, like this is 3 months to 7 years on it. But just keep adding CDs over time, and that'll start working as well because you'll have the different rates as well. And the biggest things I do like about CDs is low risk. Inflation is the only enemy to CDs, not such as the stock market, crypto, even real estate. Like a lot of people say go into real estate and stuff like that, but real estate also has its pitfalls as well when you have bad tenements that destroy your property. So this is I'm using the most safest route, and that's using CDs for compound interest. I do have another way, but it's too um, nah, you would have to be next to me to explain it. But this is just using CDs. So basically, what I'm saying with this, say if I had $1,000, I would either open up a CD here, 3 to 7 months for, I'm sorry, 3 months to 7 years. I would just throw it in for 1,000, do it for a year. 4.7 is actually pretty good. It's horrible for a place, but it's pretty good over time. Or just do the easy start. Then just open up several of them. So what I'm saying with that is in September, if I have $1,000, let's say if I only have 500, then I would just hold on to that 500, and then in October I would add another 500, having that in my savings account. Then I would throw that into a CD till I hit 1,000 and then lock that in. And then when I'm able to come up with another $1,000, I throw that in the CD. And then over time, hopefully you get your income up, but you just keep doing it. Over time, that compounds in savings. Eventually, you would end up waiting till all the CDs mature and then create one big CD and then add them all together for it. But that's one way to use compound interest using the safest way for it. Another way I would say would be investing in the S&P 500, but you need a significant amount of capital to start with the S&P 500. Let me see if I can just add what a breakdown of the S&P 500 is. Because a lot of people hear about the S&P 500, but they just don't know what it is. I'm using Copilot on this. AI is pretty good. S&P 500 investment. I put 5,500 investment. All right. So basically, what the S&P 500 is, it's just like a group of stocks that are index funds, sorry, that are put together, and the companies constantly change out depending on how they're doing, and people usually do pretty good investing in this, and because there's a lot of diversification in there, which means they're using several companies. The biggest problems people have when it comes to investing is how to invest in the S&P 500. Basically, there's index funds, ETFs, and direct stock purchases through the S&P 500. For this one, you can use E-Trade, but if you're trying to me, if you have a significant amount of money, let's say if you had like $20,000, I would say that would be something good to start out and put into the S&P 500. You probably will have to go see someone. Like Merrill Lynch. One second, like if I really, or your bank might actually how to do it. Like for me, I could go to Navy Federal, and they do have financial advisors. One second. Let's see. Investments, like people like that. But just when you go talk to them, you said this is basically what I do. What I do. Say if I was to go to Navy Fed and I would talk to one of their investors and financial planners, say I have this amount of money, I would like to put it in the S&P 500 companies, and then the monitor. I just would like to know how I can get that started, just to monitor it for myself. Now, if I was to go to them and they were to say, well, we really don't put money in the S&P 500, then I would have to go find somebody else. But most of the time, though, if you mention the S&P 500, if they are a good financial planner, they know what that is in a stock, and you actually can check it and see if your money actually in there, because via the stock via the stock code. Yeah. So one second. So like if I wanted to look up the S&P 500 stock code, see there it is right there. You see how it comes up automatically. All right. It's the Standard & Poor's 500. That's the actual real name for it. It's currently down down 0.13%. But if you look at the 5-year plan on the S&P 500 companies, as you can see, it's doing pretty good for it. But just remember, anytime you're putting in stocks, it's for a long term. And if you have a large amount of money, say if I were to win $1 million, I would get with a financial person and invest it in the S&P 500, but then I would monitor it. A lot of mistakes people make is they let financial advisors handle everything. Well, I don't know, so I let them do it. Like, no, you need to learn. So, and that's how I know. I do have an E-Trade account, but I don't have money in the S&P because I don't have a high volume, a lot of money for it. But just for basics, the basics on compound interest. I said if I was just starting out brand new, I would take $1,000, put it into a CD, and have if you can do monthly contribution for $500, you can. But from what I looked at online, the only way to get the highest saving rates is through CDs right now, and that's why I use Navy Fed, because I'm a Navy Federal member. And you can look around. I would say if you find CDs with high interest rate, I would say just make sure it's a bank that you can go into, like a Navy. Their Navy Federals are where I'm at. So if I have questions, I can physically go in there and actually talk to a physical person. I hope that makes sense. But if you have questions, just ask me.